नमस्कार, सलाम, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल मित्रों। जिंदगी के रंग मौसीकी के संग में आप सबका एक बार फिर तहे दिल से स्वागत है। तो भाई आज है मौका एक मुलाकात का। जी हाँ दोस्तों, बेसब्री से इंतजार कर रहे हैं ना आप सब। तो आज हम आपको मिलवाने जा रहे हैं हमारे देश की नोटेड एंड रिनोन्ड जर्नलिस्ट सत्या सरन जी से। सत्या सरन जी को कौन नहीं जानता। शी हैज हैड एन illustrious career as a journalist, as an editor of one of the most celebrated magazines of India, Femina। जी हाँ मित्रों, एक एडिटर, एक जर्नलिस्ट होने के साथ साथ सत्या सरन जी एक रिनोन्ड राइटर भी हैं, ऑथर हैं और बेहद खूबसूरत बायोग्राफीज इन्होंने लिखी हैं, जिसमें मुख्य है 10 years with गुरुदत्त, अबरार अलवीज जर्नी, जिसमें इन्होंने गुरुदत्त साहब की लाइफ को बायोग्राफ किया है। और अभी पिछले ही साल इन्होंने एक और बायोग्राफी रिलीज की, जगजीत सिंह साहब की जीवनी पर आधारित बात निकली है। तो मित्रों, सत्या सरन जी का ये लंबा इलस्ट्रस करियर कहाँ से शुरू हुआ, कैसे शुरू हुआ और आजकल वो क्या कर रही हैं, ये जानेंगे उनसे इस खूबसूरत इंटरव्यू में। आज के हमारे सेलिब्रिटी गेस्ट हैं मिसेस सत्या सरन जी। हम आप सब जानते हैं सत्या सरन जी हमारे देश के वरिष्ठ पत्रकारों में से एक हैं, फेमिना मैगजीन की एडिटर भी हैं और साथ साथ अभी वो डिलिजेंट मीडिया कॉर्पोरेशन लिमिटेड के लिए एज एन एडिटर काम कर रही हैं। साथ ही साथ नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फैशन डिजाइनिंग में क्लासेस भी लेती हैं। इस समय बहुत फ्रूटफुली अपना टाइम यूटिलाइज कर रही हैं और हमारा सौभाग्य है कि आज हमें उनसे वार्तालाप करने का मौका मिला। तो आइए जानते हैं सत्या जी से कुछ और खूबसूरत से पल उनकी जिंदगी के।
Ma'am, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for obliging me today. And
no problem.
It's such a pleasure to have you today with us, and we get to know all that we've always wanted to know about you and your illustrious career. Yeah, as a journalist, as a writer, we're absolutely in love with your writings, ma'am. So, my very first question to you is, ma'am, that please tell us something about your childhood, your parents, schooling, etc. Like, if you would like to tell us.
Yeah, I grew up in Guwahati.
Oh, lovely.
Calcutta and Guwahati. My father was posted there. He was in life insurance.
Okay.
And I was, I think, in class 2 when we went to Guwahati, and I got a double promotion, went into class 4.
Oh God, lucky. Okay.
No, it was not lucky. It was very dangerous because
really?
The standard in Guwahati was very high.
Acha, okay.
And I was writing with pencil and doing plus minus, in school in Calcutta.
Right.
And suddenly I went to this one term late, and everybody was writing with pen, and there was Hindi to be learned instead of Bangla.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I was a term late, and there were all those lessons to catch up. It was very tough, and I never recovered from it, all through school.
My God. Okay, yeah. I know it.
Because I was always too young for my class. I was 13 when I finished my metric.
Oh dear.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so I was always too young for class. I was much younger than all my colleagues, and I used to find some of the subjects very tough.
Absolutely. So as a child,
But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Otherwise, growing up in Guwahati was lovely.
Yeah.
Nature was very close, and I've always loved nature. Or maybe that's why I love nature.
Absolutely. And it shows in your writings also. It's so picturesque, and it seems you've painted pictures. Sometimes when I read it, the whole painting is there. It's so lovely. Ma'am, my next question to you is, do you always wanted to be a journalist? Because I can see you started your career as a journalist, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think I wanted to be a journalist. It never struck me that I wanted to be a journalist. I just wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
But as I grew older, I realized that one cannot make a life as a writer.
Right.
So I tried to be a teacher, but it didn't happen.
Okay.
And I tried to do my PhD, but that didn't happen.
Okay.
And then I just stumbled into this journalist job, and then I started enjoying it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
anyway, it gave me a chance to write, so I was very happy, and then one thing led to another.
Yeah. And you've done it wonderfully. I mean, Femina for close to so many decades. It's been a very favorite book with all the ladies in India, and of course when you carry these editions outside India also, they tend to enjoy it so much. It's done wonderfully by you. Ma'am, as you can see that you've done some awesome biographies of some of the very celebrated stars of India. I would like to know what was your experience in writing these biographies, and which one is your favorite?
I don't know. I started writing the biography because the the Gurudev biography happened by accident, you can say. I read
Okay.
something in the
Really?
Indian Express
Uh-huh.
about Abrar Alvi's interview, and then they said he has lots of stories. And I was going through a bad patch in seminar because they were trying to promote me and tell me not to do editor's work but do some other job.
Oh dear.
You know, and I was at a crossroad, and I thought, well, this is a good way to take my mind away from my trouble. You know,
Yeah.
and so one thing started like that, and then I found that it was a wonderful world to inhabit because I've always been very fond of cinema and music. And Abrar Alvi, whom I would meet every week, was an excellent storyteller. So he just drew me into that world. So part of me was living in that world.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It was absolutely fabulous, you know. And then when that happened and the book came out, and it had an amazing reception.
I know.
And
the bestseller
people
still
loved
is.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a very slow bestseller. It doesn't sell hundreds of copies. It sells 2 copies at a time, but it sells, thank God.
Yeah.
And then it got translated, so that was another great experience to sit with the translator and, you know, remember all my Hindi again from school and, you know, kind of rephrase my sentences in good Hindi. And listen to how it got translated. So that was another wonderful experience. And then when L.G. Burman happened, it was a new challenge because there were books on L.G. Burman already in print. There was another one which was supposed to be coming out.
Okay.
So my challenge was to write it differently.
Yeah, right.
And my editor Shantanu and I sat together and we said, let's do it differently. And I wrote it in a novel format.
Okay, that's super. So lovely.
So it's written, it was a huge risk. We didn't know whether it would work.
Right.
But luckily both critics and readers seem to have loved it. It's very pastoral. I tried to make my writing very close to L.G. Burman's own kind of tunes and own kind of love of nature. And to bring that, you know, that aspect of his music alive.
That's so good. And such a beauty it is, yeah.
And then there was, of course, that big thing, which is a straight biography, which
lovely. We have.
I did.
Yeah. We at TLF.
You listened to that.
We did that. We totally mesmerized, and we wanted more after that. It was so. It was so beautifully rendered by you. I mean, not only penned by you, it was beautifully rendered. I mean, it wouldn't have been better the way you did it that day. It was so beautiful, and we were so lucky to, you know, be an audience to this. And ma'am, you have been a prolific writer, from short stories to essays to biographies. You have really done a remarkable job. Now, what is your favorite genre? What do you enjoy writing most?
I think even if you look at what I've done in L.G. Burman, I have actually, because it's a novel format, I think a lot of what goes into the craft of the short story goes into the writing of books like that.
Correct.
So I think short stories have always been my favorite, but then short stories are more difficult to write than biography because you have to find the raw material first.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, unlike the biography where the life has been led or is being lived, and you just have to delve into it.
Correct.
And then short stories require much more style, much more discipline of writing. So it's a little more of a challenge. But that is the difference.
But you've done it wonderfully, ma'am. I've been through your dark side, your short stories, a collection of short stories. It's been wonderfully done. Such lovely stories.
I need to do more, and I've been busy.
I wish you do more.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we wish you.
But then there are so people who publish short stories. There is a very nice online magazine where I send my short stories called alphaspeed.com.
Okay.
And they publish once in a while, but that's about it.
Okay, and ma'am, you keep writing, and we wish there are going to be more publishers who want to publish your short stories because it is really very, very well done. Yeah. Ma'am, since you're talking about short stories, did you ever get to write any screenplays since you've been very close to the film fraternity and, filmmakers?
Not really. I did some work for television.
Okay.
I did a whole series once working with Satish Kaushik and all, but then that got changed and all. It was a strange experience.
Okay.
But then later on, I wrote a whole series called Kashmakash.
Oh, that was amazing. Kashmakash was amazing at that time.
Which was all about marital problems.
Yes.
And it did well. It was shot on DVDs and we wrote another set of episodes.
Yeah, it was one of the very popular serials of those times.
Yeah, but they used to put it in the afternoon slot. So, but it was problem solving. It was the sum total of my experiences in Femina on the relationship front. Like some letters we used to get and from the kind of.
Lovely.
Okay, ma'am. I was asking you that did you get to write any screenplays?
No, I have not written any screenplays because for some reason I'm not in that zone. I have not been acquainted with anybody who is in that zone.
All right.
But what I have done is I have written a couple of television scripts.
Okay.
I wrote one long ago for Satish Kaushik called Sara Jahan Hamara.
Okay.
But that got changed and whatnot. But I did do an entire series called Kashmakash.
Yeah, that was
which was on
marital
problems. Which the stories are all from my experience of letters and people I met who were in troubled relationships during my Femina days.
All right, wonderful.
And so many of them were real stories or based on 2-3 real incidents which could be then, fictionalized.
Right.
And it was a problem-solving one. It was quite popular.
It was very popular during the DD.
Yeah, it was on Doordarshan, then it went on to Star.
Yeah.
It was quite popular.
Yeah, it was one of the very well-made TV serials of those times. No, unlike today's ones.
No, it was all made on a budget. We used to request people to open their homes so that we could shoot in real homes. We had no money for locations or bungalows.
Okay.
So we go to Pune and Jaipur and shoot in that place.
Wow.
To use real people, real actors.
Wow. No wonder it had that, very such a natural feel to it, and we still remember.
idea was to keep it so that people can identify with it.
Absolutely.
And say, इनके साथ हो सकता है तो मेरे साथ भी यही हो रहा है. If they can solve it, I can solve it.
Absolutely. And these days, ma'am, looking at those TV serials, such serials are so much wanting. We would love to have those scripts, that kind of idea which was behind the serials.
But there are no takers today, unfortunately. Otherwise, marital problems are as old as man.
Absolutely. And I think the women folk who are totally, glued to television sets for all those serials, they'll be really very happy if we get something like that today.
Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, I was wanting to ask you, what actually inspires you to write? What is your inspiration? What really gets you onto your pen and
I don't know. Sometimes it's a small germ of an idea. Like now, somebody this morning suggested to me, why don't you write about this whole, bull racing problem that's going along. Now, I don't normally get inspired, so to say, by current topics because everybody is saying so much about it that there is no space to think.
Absolutely.
But if I look at it now and I'm looking at it from the morning and saying, how can I bring this into focus in my life?
Yeah.
And I'm going to find a way to do it without focusing only on this problem, but taking a bigger picture. So sometimes things like that provide the inspiration. Sometimes some thought, some idea, some line somewhere you read or hear.
Yeah.
So, but it's necessary for me to write. It's probably the only thing I know how to do, so I need to do it.
Absolutely. And it's very replenishing, isn't it?
It is.
So, ma'am, do you sometimes get that feeling in the middle of the night, there is something that is troubling you, some idea, and you would immediately, bring back, get hold of your pen or probably your iPad and then start writing?
But I do sleep on an idea. Suppose I can't solve an idea. suppose like when I'm writing fiction, for example, and if I can't solve, I've reached a state where I don't know where to turn, how to go straight line, go upwards.
Ma'am, I would wanting to ask you, I was reading your statement once. You've said that love is no longer sweet nothings, and you've also said that the beauty of romance in films is no longer there. Why did you say that?
No, this was in an article I wrote for Outlook, where I was talking, the reference was the fact that, today in social media, everybody is flaunting their relationships. And especially even among the stars, you'll find in Bollywood, people are very open about relationships. They make sure that journalists know everything about it. They give away pictures. They let themselves be shot in almost intimate moments. And they kind of celebrate it. It's a very good thing. But it's celebrating it not because it's a beautiful emotion, but because it adds to their what is it called, star appeal. It gets them that many more eyeballs. It gets them that many more people coming to see a pair acting together. And sometimes the relationship is not even real. The relationship is only to push a movie.
Right.
So you start wondering what is real, what is not. And even the real ones, once things fall out. When you are in the sphere, in the public sphere, and you are pushing a relationship, expectations go up so much.
Absolutely.
And when expectations go up, relationships tend to suffer, because you're not doing things for each other. You're doing it because somebody is watching you. So then, and then when the relationship breaks, it never happened. And then something else, you latch on to someone else, and that is again in the public sphere. So I felt there was a lot of what is it called, glitter around the public about what is called love, and the real emotion is lost somewhere. God knows where.
Absolutely. So I think we can put it this way: there's a lot of commercialization of emotions also going around just to bank upon.
No, because people want everything to be in the public space. So they want to know what you are thinking, and you want to tell everybody what you are thinking. So there's this whole give and take. It's become a new bazaar.
Absolutely. And ma'am, with these social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, I think it's become a lot more of a, it's the things are in vogue now.
Well, I don't know whether it will continue to be in vogue, because I think it's become a very wannabe platform. People who want to be seen as something are there, and the rest are slowly realizing that there are better things to do in life. I don't know. It may go out of vogue. Which will be a great thing.
So, ma'am, according to you, what was the most beautiful film that you ever saw, and why?
Many of them. One of my all-time favorites has been Madhumati. I saw it when I was very, very young, but it somehow, and then I saw it again later and again, and I've never forgotten it or found that I've outgrown it. Something very real about it. I don't know what. Then I loved Mughal-e-Azam. I like films where the romance seems real. It's portrayed subtly. It's not in your face. And there's a lot of unspoken stuff that hints at the depth of the emotion. I think that's what attracts me. I did like very much, I like Pyasa, and also when I was researching the book on Guru Dutt, I had to watch all its films. And Pyasa still stood out as something that really worked for me. Sahib Bibi Gulam was another favorite, even when I was young. And then there have been others. I have liked Kohinoor, and I have liked, in recent times, I have liked Chipke Chipke, because it has such amazing dialogue. And then Chalti Ka Naam Gadi was another favorite, because again the humor is amazing. It's one of the best humorous films ever. And maybe do Yado, because there are lots of different kinds of films. So, but Madhumati and Mughal-e-Azam and Yasha stand out.
And you don't seem to like any movies from the present genre, from present filmmakers?
No, of course I liked Masaan very much. I found it very different, very. I like these slightly offbeat. I like all charm medicals. piece. I like Trikal because it brought out that whole, I mean, the whole, every scene was like a painting for me. I found it mysterious. It drew me into the whole scene. I felt I lived there in that home. So, I mean, you like things for different reasons. And I like, what did I see recently? Tam Laga Ke Haisa.
Okay.
And it was very cute, very different. I saw a couple of Marathi films which I liked very much. I love watching Bengali films, most of them. I like Japanese wife, I like Aparna Sen's. So it depends. I think I watch a lot of things. And it's difficult for them to come to mind when you ask like this, but there is a variety that I like. I do not much like the swashbuckling
Okay.
Haram Dhurum films. So I like Kill Bill a lot.
Okay. Wonderful. And Sathya ma'am, I've been wanting to ask you, what do you enjoy most doing, being a journalist or an author?
Well, writing is what I enjoy most, so it doesn't matter what the medium is. I think if you're a writer, it doesn't matter where you're writing. If you're sincere to what you're doing, you put your heart in it to make sure you report or write what you believe is true. And then the medium is only a helper. Your audience differs, so that's it. Sometimes you get the same audience for both if you realize that the thread of truth is running through all your writing.
So you hold a true spirit of a writer. And there's one more thing I was wanting to ask you, that you've been a part of the grooming sessions of Miss India contest, and you've also said that it was a learning experience for you. Can you tell us something about it?
Yeah, because you're constantly, I mean, the Miss India experience, one is constantly with young girls who are aspirational. They come from different backgrounds, different cities, they come with different needs. Somebody wants to become a star, somebody just wants to do well in life, someone is just using it to be in the company of people she would never be in the company of, because she comes from a background which is very different. But at the end of it, you realize that they learn, they evolve. Watching them evolve, you realize that there's no end to learning. And you learn from them, you understand human relationships watching them, because there are always good ones and bad ones, good eggs and bad eggs. And you learn what to avoid when you're in a group. And I think one of the best things I learned was how to be confident, how to stand up for your own, for what you believe in, and to speak out. I've always mentioned this story of how, I learned to speak in public by watching Sushmita. I had lost my confidence after a college incident. Yeah. So, and listening to her speak and handle a huge room full of press people as Miss Universe, I said, if a 19-year-old can do that, I'm twice her age, I can do it. So.
Lovely, that's so lovely. It will send such a good message across that every bit of life has a learning experience and hold for you, and every moment you keep on learning.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, as long as you don't go searching for something, for a lesson, somewhere you imbibe it.
How lovely. And Sathya ma'am, there's another one I have always wanted to ask you. I have met you in person also, and apart from being your glorious career as a journalist, as an editor, as a writer, you're just so beautiful. So have any film offers come your way ever?
No, because I think I'm not beautiful in that sense. I just am who I am. And secondly, I don't think, you need a certain ability to act, you need a certain star quality. All that is required, and then you have to also want to be an actor. I wanted to be one when I was about 10 years old, but I basically looked at the mirror and said, no, it's better to write instead.
But you're really not only so beautiful to look at, but you're such a beautiful human being, ma'am, and it's always so good talking to you. And you really tend to imbibe so many things after talking to personalities like you.
Thank you, you're very kind.
It's a pleasure always, ma'am. And another question I've been really wanting to ask you, that who's your worst critic at home?
At home, I don't think anybody openly criticizes what I write. But yes, sometimes there is an unspoken criticism that I read, which is not probably meant or expressed. When everything I write is not read or doesn't get grab the attention of people at home. On the other hand, when they do read things and appreciate them, I feel very good, because if you can appeal to people at home, it means you're appealing like charity, it has to start at home. And I think one of my happiest moments was when my daughter-in-law messaged me from Bangalore saying, I was waiting for a car and your book was with me, and I decided to just start reading it. And I didn't stop till I finished reading it. I read it in the car and I read it till I, finished the book. And that was the Guru Dutt book, and it made me feel really, really happy. And my husband, again, doesn't read everything that I write, but then he told me, I don't like your book on Jagdish Singh because it's keeping me awake at night. I'm sleeping late because I'm reading it.
Oh.
And I said, wow.
How sweet is that? So he must have been so engrossed, and at the same time it's giving him sleepless nights.
Yeah, he kept saying, it was 35 degrees now and I'm still reading at 12 o'clock. I was away, I was not at home those days, I was traveling. Okay. And I get this message from him and I said, yay.
My God, that would have really made you so happy. That's so lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. So, Ma'am, there's another question I've always wanted to ask you. Apart from writing, what do you do in your pastime?
Well, I am learning music. It's an old love, and I have had the time now to learn. So my granddaughter and I, we learn music. We don't learn it together at the same time, but we learn from the same teacher. And she started much before me, so she kind of corrects me when I make a mistake. So
How old is she?
Fun. She's now 11.
Okay.
But she's been learning since she was 6. I started last year, yeah. So it's good fun. And then I like to read, I like to cycle, I like to travel a lot, and of course I like to write.
And you were telling me, ma'am, that you do yoga also to keep fit?
Yeah, I do yoga, I go for yoga classes. Because as I told you, one gets older, one needs to keep fit. And yoga is a better way of keeping fit, I believe, because it works from inside. It works on your mind and body.
Absolutely.
And gives you an equilibrium which one tends to lose in today's world.
Wow, that's so wonderful. A lovely lifestyle you have, ma'am, and I think one must follow.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm downright lazy and don't even bother to go for a walk. But that happens quite often. Huh?
Yeah, I think this happens with everybody around, but still you do manage to do so many things, and all of them are so good and so wonderful. And it actually sends a very good message across, and people like me can only be inspired, because despite being so busy, you take out time for a lot many creative things.
No, I'm not busy. I'm not really busy. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I work from home. I'm my own mistress, so I'm not really busy. I try and keep busy. That's important.
Now there's another question, that what is your favorite book that's authored by you and why?
You're asking someone to choose from among people she has created. It's very difficult, but yes, I like my fiction a lot. And I try and keep that as my model when I write my other books, so that I keep the same standard. Writing fiction is a demanding art, because you have to become the characters, you have to give them personality, you have to be in the moment of a short story without saying too much or saying too little. You have to create something with an economy of words. So I try to keep those disciplines when I'm writing my other books. So that is why writing fiction is, that book is my favorite. But on the other hand, yes, I do like what I did with Guru Dutt. Thanks to Abrar Alvi, I got a great story. And I think it taught me how to write a biography. So each of my books is special, and I think I used my craft of writing fiction when I wrote my S.P. Burman. so that I could write it like a novel. I think each one of them, and my journalistic skills came in when I wrote Jagmeet Singh, because it's a straight, linear narrative. So I don't know whether I can really choose from among my books. Each one has brought something to me, and each one I have given something.
Absolutely. And Jagjit Singh Ji's biography was so wonderfully done, and we've been witness to that during TLF when you rendered it so eloquently.
So that's a marketing ploy to make sure people get to read the book. I do it with Jagmeet, I do it with S.D. Burman, with all his songs, I do it with Guru Das, I do it with all my...
Okay, whatever you like to say, ma'am, but the rendition was far too good. We were all so mesmerized and we didn't even want to get up.
Because the life was so inspiring. And when you've written the book, you get under the skin of the person. So you are able to, narrate it with a certain amount of conviction and feeling.
Absolutely. And ma'am, Jagjit Singh Ji and Chitra Singh Ji had a glorious career together.
Yeah.
But a lot of tragedy was there in their lives. The pain really hits you hard sometimes when you read about them. So, ma'am, when you were biographing, was it painful? Was it stressful for you at times?
It wasn't for me, but it was for Chitra Ji. It was very difficult for her to relive those moments. There were times when she was close to tears, or even we had to stop for a while because I saw that she was, she was feeling broken. And it's very difficult. I mean, it's difficult for people to relive their bad times because one likes to forget them and move on. And I felt I had to tread very carefully because I'm not an intrusive person. I don't ask people about their private lives, but here I was forced to. But to her credit, she was frank, she was open, and the book happened.
Wonderful book, and it's a must read, I must say.
Thank you.
And the book is Baat Niklegi To Fir, right?
Baat Niklegi To Fir, yeah.
Lovely book, and it's a must read. I will again say it. Ma'am, who's your favorite writer and why?
Well, I have many favorite writers, and but I like writers who don't just tell a story, but they also layer their writing in such a way that there are moments of surprise in them, in the way it's written, in the words, in the way a word is used. A very common word is used in an unusual way. Yesterday I read a sentence, for example. Ray Bradbury, I was reading a story about these young men who go in a house, and the owner of the house says, let's first have a drink. You can't do such a big job as burning my house without first fortifying yourself with drink. And they are all in front of his lord, and they are a bit odd because they are all country boys, So he gives them each a drink, and then there was this one line which was amazing. I read it 6 times or 7 times. It said, they all down their drinks, and the man who is the loudest, the youngest, and the most vociferous leader of them, he drank his drink and he says, courage made his face go red. He didn't say that the drink made the face go red. The courage made his face go red, So it was such a beautiful sentence, and it said so much. It told me that the boy was insecure, it was all bravado. I like writing like this. And some of the writers whom I think can achieve this, do achieve this, are John Le Carre, who writes thrillers, but builds in relationships and human values and human personality so beautifully into it that you see entire lives, Or there is, among Indian writers, there is Manu Joseph who did that with the illicit happiness of others. There is Marquez, Gabriel Marquez, who brings in personalities, who brings in also the supernatural and the psychological and melds them together. And this is something I love doing, or I try to do in my stories. If you have read my stories, you'll know that. Of course, he is a master, and I'm anywhere, not even the beginning of his first letter is mine, but I still try to get there. It fascinates me. And I was amazed when I discovered him. I said, if there is a master I can look at. And there are many others. There are many others. It's difficult to name them on and off like that, but I just read something by Graham Greene, Brighton Cock. And I said, why haven't I read this? Or Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. A very tiny little novella. Oh my God, I read it 4 times because as you read it, you discover things in it. After you've read it, you say, oh, that's what he meant, and then you go back to it.
So, ma'am, are you happy with the modern day writers? Some points of advice would you like to extend to them?
I think there are a lot of new writers who write very well. Mahesh Rao, for example, I just something he's written and it's wonderful. And there are others, I can't remember their names offhand. But of the not so recent lot, yes, there's Arundhati's sort of small things. There's, as I said before, Manu Joseph and Mahesh Rao is brilliant. Jerry Pinto, I love his writing. It's a straight writing. You know, it's clean. It just tells you what has to be told without any artifice, and yes, it's so beautiful. So there are a lot of new writers doing amazing work. Naresh Fernandez, I mean, lots of them. But there are also a lot of new writers who write because they think writing is stylish, writing is being in, writing is cool, and don't realize that writing is a lot of hard work and a lot of tapas goes before you can get the wherewithal to be a really good writer. The practice, the reading, the knowledge of words, of emotions, of the universe around you. You know, it's like a runner has to also do push-ups and train his hands. It's the same way. When you are going to be a writer, you have to do a lot of other things that have nothing to do with writing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And ma'am, there's another thing I was wanting to ask you. How difficult or how easy is it to do a biography? Since you've done such wonderful biographies and that too of such celebrated artists, so does it come easy to you or is it very difficult?
No, biography is easier than fiction because you have already got a life there and you have to only report it. It's more difficult because a lot of people know things about your life, and so you still have to make it come alive, make it real, remove the misconceptions, keep away the sensationalism, put away the curiosity that people have about a person's life and the person's mistakes or the person's sensational activities, and try and concentrate, at least that's what I do, I concentrate on a writer's work or a personality's work, whether it's a musician, an artist, whoever inspires me, and keep on that, understand why the work is what it is, what made that work become as good and as great as it is, why did how did that person struggle to reach there, how did he hold on to his achievement, how did he hone his skills. I think these are important things to inspire somebody. And it needs a lot of understanding of the person, of getting into the person's mind, into his life, talking to a lot of people around him to understand what it was all about. And then you have to find a way to say it so the personality comes alive.
Ma'am, are you eyeing another biography? Is there any artist that you've been wanting to biograph?
I do want to do, I am going to be doing the biography of Helen Kumar. It's a co-authored book because I'm not going to be dealing with his Bangla music. That is not my forte, somebody else will do that. But I will talk about his films, the music he created, the songs he sung, and the films he produced. And I did want so much to do Asha Bhosle, but I'm still hoping some miracle will happen and I will get to do that.
And we wish and we pray for that it happens soon, and we'll only be too happy to lay our hands on something produced by you, ma'am. Ma'am, I wanted to ask you, what is your say on the self-published writers of today?
I think self-published writers, I don't know, I don't want to say much. Some of them self-published because they don't want to go through the pain of being rejected, and the sad truth is that some of the best work, I mean even Harry Potter was rejected umpteen number of times. So even bestsellers and really good books do get rejected. So you don't want to go through that pain. But also sometimes it is because there is vanity and you think that you are worthy of being published, and so what if you have to spend a little money. and then you don't realize that maybe you have not done the kind of editing, or you have not done the kind of background work that is needed to write a good book. So I think self-publishing feeds into the need of the day of everyone wanting to be a writer. In that you get some good ones and some bad ones. People come for different reasons.
Yeah, but our country has had some of the wonderful self-published writers who started as being self-published and then later on some big publishing houses also published their work.
That's what I said. Sometimes you get really good writers who are self-published, but you also get a lot of others who just publish because it's easy. You spend money and you get published.
Yeah, absolutely. And ma'am, now last but not the least, your message to the young wannabe writers and to your fans.
Well, I say to all my students to just read a lot. If you don't read, you cannot write.
Of course, you're so right, and I remember the many writers that were approaching you. Even before you said anything, you asked them, how much have you read?
Yeah, because if you don't read, then you don't get to, I mean, everything you want to say has already been said. So you have to find a new way to say it. And so it's better to know what's already in the available space.
Right. And thank you so much. Thank you ever so much, Sathya ma'am. It's always so delightful talking to you. Thank you very much for your precious time and patience.
No, it's okay.
We at 90.8 FM Aapki Awaaz would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Sathya Saran ma'am. Thank you so very much ma'am for this lovely conversation. और सचमुच बहुत इंस्पिरेशनल है आपकी ज़िंदगी. बहुत सारे खूबसूरत पल जो आज आपने हमसे साझा किए हमें हमेशा याद रहेंगे. हमारी शुभकामनाएं हमेशा आपके साथ हैं. इसी तरीके से लिखते रहिए और लिटरेरी वर्ल्ड को रिप्लेनिश करते रहिए. हमें आपकी नई किताबों का तहे दिल से इंतजार रहेगा. विश यू ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट इन लाइफ ऑलवेज एंड थैंक यू सो वेरी मच फॉर बीइंग हियर टुडे. इसी के साथ दोस्तों विदा लेती हूँ आपसे. बहुत सारी खुशियाँ आपके जीवन में आए और इसी के साथ साथ फिर आऊंगी आपसे मिलने एक नई सेलिब्रिटी के साथ बहुत सारी खूबसूरत बातों के साथ. गुड नाइट, शब खैर एंड स्टे ब्लेस्ड.